Today, my special guest that is joining me, she is a published author. She is also an autism mom and an autism advocate. Please give a warm welcome for Christina Adams.
Thanks, Kenny. I've been looking forward to talking to you.
Christina is going to be discussing some of her books and the stories behind them. Her notable novels include Camel Crazy, which is her most recent release, and Real Boy.
I've been a writer for many years, Kenny, so my dream was always, when I was your age and younger, is to write a book. So I have 2 nonfiction books out, and I'm really happy, about that. And I'm just glad to see that you are following your dreams and that I've been able to do a little bit of mine as well.
Thank you. So do tell us some stories about how you became an author and how you became the person you are today.
Well, I was born in Washington, D.C. and grew up in Virginia. And I always loved reading and I always loved books. And I was lucky to grow up in a house that had some books. We didn't have a lot. Well, my dad was a printer, so sometimes he could bring books home, and my mother always took us to the library. I'm a big advocate of reading and books because it transports you to other worlds. And despite growing up in Virginia, I got to learn about other places, and it really fired my imagination. I always wanted to be a journalist and write books. And so I was able to go to school and learn more about writing and get a degree in English. And then I had a career working at the Pentagon in Washington, being a newspaper editor and writing speeches. And then I moved across the country and got into aerospace and was able to write and produce corporate communications, an internal television show, videos, all kinds of things. So that meant that when I left, I had a child because I wanted to, have a baby. So when my son was born, everything was going great and I got a master's degree in writing. But then he was diagnosed with autism. So I kind of had to stop all my writing of fiction and things like that and moved to nonfiction and moved into the world of autism. So that's what put me into writing about autism, publishing in places such as the Los Angeles Times, and then writing my 2 books.
It's amazing. It goes to show how far you've come in life and how you're willing to change from one genre to another.
Thank you. I did enjoy writing fiction, and I hope that I'll write a novel someday. But when your son needs help and you realize a lot of other people need support too in the autism world, I just felt like I had to move to that, because if I could help, then I needed to do it.
What are some of his hopes and dreams that he wants to conquer?
He wants to become more of a person that works with his hands. He's a big intellectual guy, but he really likes working with his hands. So he's studying kind of mechanical things and things that were going to require some technical skill. So he's in school right now.
I would love to get him on my channel sometime.
I'll see if he's interested in that. The guy is very, very funny and intelligent. I'm very proud of the young man he's become, because when he was 2 years old, that's when he was diagnosed, almost 3 years old, and he had lost all his language. He spoke very early at the age of 9 months perfectly, but he lost all his language and he regressed. To have him come from a little boy who had lost all his language, and then when it came back, it was just echolalia, repeating phrases, to a kid that had a college vocabulary by the age of 9, and now he is one of the most erudite people I know. It really is a lot of great work on his part that he was able to get to that.
That's amazing. So in the time we have left, are there any other stories you'd like to share, maybe about your new book?
Yeah, so for people that I haven't met yet and we don't know about each other, I am a writer and author, so I've written a lot of pieces in newspapers, magazines, things like that. And you can find my work on ChristinaAdamsAuthor.com. But for people that are interested, then the first book was called A Real Boy, and that was about my son's early intervention experiences. So even though I'm a literary writer, I kind of turned it into a useful book. So it is a literary book, but it tells the personal story and everything we did to help him get better. So time went on, and after that book came out, I had the idea that camel milk from a camel, might help my son's autism symptoms, because his symptoms were really impacted by diet, especially when he had milk or carbohydrates. His autism symptoms would become much worse. So I met a guy with the camel, and I had the idea that the milk would help his symptoms of autism that were harmful to him and be a good dairy substitute, because he couldn't handle regular cow milk and other milks. So I flew the milk in from the Bedouins in the desert in Israel, and he got so much improvement overnight. And ever since then, I've worked on camels and camel milk and published articles about that in a book. And so I speak at science conferences, and I've done a lot of media on that. And so the book is called Camel Crazy. And it actually is a continuation of A Real Boy with our personal story. So you can follow along with us and watch my son kind of grow up as well as learning about a lot of things.
There you guys have it. If you're interested in purchasing a copy of both books, you can do so at ChristinaAdamsAuthor.com. And if you want to book her for any other inquiries, you can also do so there as well.
Wonderful to meet you, Kenny. So I'm really impressed with your production, what you're doing, your interviewing. And so it's been a pleasure to know about your YouTube channel. And I definitely will be sharing some content from your channel in the future.
Thank you.